Welcome. Today, I'm really excited to have a conversation with another one of our amazing Tiny Habits coaches, Dom Michalec. Now, Dom is an expert in health and wellness. He also just completed a training through Mayo Clinic in health and wellness. He's been a Tiny Habits certified coach since 2021, and he brings a great wealth of wisdom and experience to our Tiny Habits coach community. Dom, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here with us today.
Thanks, Linda. Appreciate you having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Well, I am too, and I'm also looking forward to having our listeners learn a lot from you as I have over the years. The first question I have for you is what attracted
Yeah.
you to Tiny Habits and why did you become certified?
Okay. I guess we can start from the beginning. I think it was like early 2020 ish, maybe mid 2020. I'm not entirely sure. But at the time, obviously, the COVID lockdown was happening across the world. Teens were changing. My world was turned upside down, as I'm sure yours was and everyone else's was. And at the time, I think I weighed about 240 pounds. Like I was I just felt very out of shape and I didn't know where to start. And so my one of my friends introduced me to a book that I'm sure you've heard of. It was
Mhm.
by James Clear, Atomic Habits. And if you read the first couple chapters of the book, it's very apparent, and he makes no qualms about it. He is not a habit expert. He has simply taken a lot of the
Mm.
information that he's learned from the experts in the world and coalesced it into an easy to read and digestible book. And he actually referenced BJ in the book. So it was really intriguing. I really was enjoying it, but I sat back and I thought to myself, well, if he's not the expert and he referenced this guy named BJ Fogg and he talks a lot about his work in his book, why don't I just go directly to the source and the guy who did the research and see what he's all about? So, I Googled BJ and lo and behold, BJ also had a book, Tiny Habits, obviously. And so I was like, okay. So I put down Atomic Habits. I don't even think I didn't even finish the book. I mean, it was great, but I didn't even finish it. I picked up Tiny Habits and immediately it was it resonated with me. B, it was incredibly actionable and just like the way that he talked in the book, like I've never met BJ before, but just the way he was like writing and talking the book, it felt like he was like sitting right there next to me, like encouraging me, like you can learn this stuff, you can do this stuff. And then, kind of fast forward 4 or 5 months later, and I put a lot of the principles and the things that I learned in Tiny Habits into my own daily life. So I took what I learned from BJ, learned what from the book, put it into my own life, and I was immediately I could tell from the first couple of days like, okay, there's something here. And then
Mm.
the success momentum built and built and built up over time. And I was, when lockdown finally ended, I was at a point where I was, yes, doing my tiny habits, but I was also doing more. I was going to group fitness classes. I was going for walks. I was going for runs. And I think it was about maybe 8, 9 months later, I'd lost like 20 pounds. And so I was like, okay, this is legit, obviously. And so like there's something here. And then I did more and more research and I stumbled across Tiny Habits Academy. And yeah, I did the work first and I wanted to learn how to help other people put it into practice. And obviously coming to you and coming to BJ as the experts in this space was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. Probably definitely within the last 5 years, if not the last 10, 15 years. So that's why I decided to get certified.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you for that. I love hearing that it was the best decision you've made. Obviously, Tiny Habits has impacted my life for the better in a huge way as well. But I love hearing that from other people as well, because my experience is not unique, nor is yours. So that is so cool.
Nope.
Oh, and I know you specialize in health and wellness.
Yeah.
And I've got so many questions. Uh,
Yeah.
and what you've really dialed in or doubled down on, I guess I should say, is helping people create the habit of journaling as part of
Mhm.
their health and wellness routine. Talk to me a little bit about why you've chosen journaling to be a good tool for health and
Yeah.
wellness. And I know you've got a web app for and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I want to learn a little bit about more your journey as to why you've gone there. I too believe that journaling is important, but so many people don't even consider journaling as part of their health and wellness journey. Talk to us a little bit about why you came on that and
Yeah.
how you've helped people in that respect.
Sure. Yeah. I wish I could say I came up with it on my own, but I simply can't. So, for some context, I work primarily with, yeah, I guess you can call them like busy professionals, right? People who
Mhm.
are in industry working 9, 10 hours a day, whether they're working in corporate America, they're working on a startup, they're professionals, very stressed out, very busy people, and they want to learn how to integrate some tiny habits into their lives. And so I've been doing this with this very specific type of persona and person for probably the last 2 or 3 years. And I would say maybe I would say definitely more than half, maybe like 60% of the people that I talk to and I'm helping them out with their tiny habits, they come to me and they're like, I wish, I want to journal more. Like I hear it all the time. Like people are out there journaling. I feel like this is really going to help me with my stress. This is really going to help me just create some space between me and my emotions and just kind of slow down and give me a chance to digest the day, digest the week, digest the month, digest what's going on in my personal life, my professional life, just get it down on paper. I feel like that'd be good for me. And so it kind of got me thinking like, okay, so let's integrate a journaling habit. Like let's help you do that. And immediately, I think a lot of people they read I feel like they get really stressed. Like this, the idea of journaling sounds great, and then we start doing it, it becomes very intimidating. Staring at a blank page is not fun for anyone, and especially if you're a brand new journaler, someone who doesn't who's not used to journaling. Staring at a blank page on a pen, very daunting task. Not knowing what to write, feeling like you need to write something very profound or prolific or almost like performative, like you're writing for someone else. These are the immediate cognitive blockers, I would say,
Mm.
that kind of trip people up when they want to integrate journaling into their practice. And so, I learned a lot about what effective, consistent journaling looks like. And maybe where people get tripped up when they think they want to journal, they start journaling and they stop journaling, or they take a day off, or they take a couple days off, and or they missed a session, or whatever, or life got busy, whatever it may be. I learned a lot about what holds people back from doing something that they want to do to help out with stress, seeing themselves better, processing whatever it may be. And so, in a way, I was kind of doing what I would consider to be like some product discovery work. I kind of took those friction points and I was like, okay, if this is where people are getting tripped up when they start a journaling practice, not people who've been journaling for years, I'm not looking at the expert journalers out there. I'm looking at the people who want to start journaling, but either start and stop or just never start to begin with. And I say, okay, like what's tripping those people up, and working with my clients to understand that I'm helping them reduce the friction to doing those things, but also I'm learning from them at the same time. And that kind of was the genesis of the Free Write 15 web app that's out there today that people can use if they want to.
So, what are some tiny habits that you help people create that help them
Yeah.
facilitate journaling?
Yeah. Well, I'll put it this way. There's like two different types of people I work with: folks that go to work, clock in, clock out every single day and come home, and those who are constantly on the road. And so, what I focus on with each individual group of people is like, okay, where in your routine, whether it's in the morning, afternoon, night, whatever it may be, first start with just writing down your routine. Like that's your first journal entry,
Mm.
is taking 10, 15 seconds in the morning, like, okay, what did I do this morning? What did I do? I woke up, I got out of bed, I brushed my teeth, and I tell them to be like hyper specific about it. I went to the airport, whatever it may be, I checked into the hotel. Like that should be your first journal entry, is just getting an audit of your routine,
Mm. Mm.
because it reveals to you very quickly, is my routine consistent? Is it inconsistent? Where's the consistency? And where can I leverage that existing routine to integrate a journaling practice? So I say, if you want to journal, make that your first entry. And I'm not gonna, I have to tell them you need to do this right now. Like if you want to start journaling, probably a good idea. And here's why. I explain to them, when you have an audit of your routine, you can then just kind of take a look and say, okay, now the next question is, where do I have a minute, 2 minutes in this routine to open this same journal up and write my first entry? That's step two. And so, like I said, it looks a little bit different for people who have very consistent clock in, clock out, come home routines versus those who are always on the road. And we specialize. And that's
Mhm.
why I think working with a tiny habits coach is so great, because you're not going to know what you don't know, or you're not going to know what questions to
Yeah.
ask if you're just going to Google or a chat GPT or whatever it may be. Like working with a person who knows this stuff will just expedite this stuff and keep you on the path to integrating this into your life. So whether it's the first group or the second group, let's start with just understanding your routine. Boom, 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 boom. Great. That's your first entry. Yay. If you want to do more of those entries, great. Awesome. That's also great. But we're going to use this and ask the question, where do I have a minute, 2 minutes to just simply open the same journal that I'm using, knock out a quick entry, and then go on from there with the rest of my day.
I love that. Makes it doable and not so overwhelming. So,
Yeah.
what is your opinion when it comes to journaling, doing like journaling on uh, typing or writing? Is there a difference? Is there one way that's better than another? What are the pros and
Yeah.
cons of each format?
Gosh, there's three different formats that that I've worked with have used to varying levels of success. And it's all very individual in terms of where they find success versus what works for them, which doesn't work for them. Obviously, you have typing on a computer, typing on your phone, two different contexts, right? You have a
Hmm.
computer with a physical keyboard, phone, you're tapping on a piece of glass, writing in an actual physical journal, or even some folks they even transcribe, like they'll be on a walk. I was just working with someone last week. They on their walk, they were just kind of verbally journaling, if you will, just kind of getting their thoughts into out of their head and another space. And so I tell people normally, especially like that 60% of folks like, I want a journal. Like, great. There's a billion different ways to do it. And we're going to first find the one that works best for you. And it all depends on
Mm.
that routine. Of that 60% of folks, the ones that are always on the road, I see them, they gravitate more to the digital or the taking like a note app and speaking into their phone or into their headset or their earpieces, whatever it may be, because that's simply just what works for them. They're always on the road. If they forget their journal at home and they're in a different state or a different
Yeah.
city, it's like, am I going to go out and buy another journal? I'm working. That just seems primarily, again, everyone has levels of success here, but primarily that seems to work with that group. The more tried and true clock in, clock out, go to work and come home, it's a mix of all three, I would say. So, long story short, what I would say is whether you're typing, whether you're writing, whether you're speaking, find what works best for you. With the understanding that when you're writing physically, you're going to slow down. Like you're going to slow your thought process down a little bit,
Mm.
or actually a lot. And that may give you a benefit that you didn't realize. Whereas if you're typing out your thoughts, obviously it's a little bit quicker. Your thoughts are going to flow a little bit faster, but your hands are going to keep up with your thoughts. So that may yield some interesting results as well. And then obviously if you're speaking into your phone or if you're creating like a voice note or whatever it may be, you're not going to be able to process it as you're doing it. It's going to be almost like something to go back and listen to and reflect upon later on. All have different levels of efficacy, all have different levels of feeling shine, whatever it may be, but it's all dependent upon you, what works for you, and switch it up. You can use all three different methods if you want. There's three separate tiny habits. Use all three, give it a try, see what works best for you. The nice thing is if you realize that just writing on a piece of paper or writing in a notebook is just not doing it for you anymore, you can't authentically celebrate that, move on
Yeah.
to a different media, move into a different channel, try that out. Continue the practice, even if it's a different channel, I would say.
I love that. I get stuck in the rut of, I like to physically write because it helps me process.
Yeah.
However, you just identified and it's like, yeah, that's me. I don't have the same notebook that I'm writing in when I want to write. It's a different.
Yeah.
So my little journal entries are like spread all over the place simply because when I'm ready to write, and that's probably because I haven't set a set routine in my daily routine to actually have the writing habit or the journaling habit, which you're really encouraging me to do. I'm using different mediums. And so I find that I'm sort of spread all over. So I like the fact that maybe I just do one notebook or on the notes app. I like that.
Yeah, just I would say just the only thing there is don't place unnecessary rules on yourself or what good journaling
Mm,
and bad journaling looks like. Just remove that pressure of I need to get that notebook. Even if it's upstairs and you have your
yeah.
phone in front of you, that's a good opportunity to journal right there, especially if you only have a couple minutes. You don't need to run upstairs, grab your notebook. I mean, you can if you want, but don't set rules upon yourself when it comes to journaling for the sake of setting rules because you think this is how journaling is done and this is how I need to do it. There's a billion different ways to do it so long as you just do the act. I think that's what's most important.
I love that. I love that. That brings another question to my mind, and that is, and we've touched on this a little bit. The purpose of journaling to better your health and wellness. I have ancestors that kept great journals. My husband kept a great journal, and it was really for their posterity. And I don't
Mhm.
know, maybe there's a health benefit to that, but their purpose was really for those that came after them would know about their lives and their journeys and learn from their experiences, which I think is a very noble purpose for journaling.
Mhm.
But as I'm talking to you, I'm seeing that maybe the primary purpose of journaling is to help improve your health. Talk a little bit more about that. And have you worked with people where you've seen a direct correlation, to either stress reduction or really reviewing what they're doing with their lives, a little bit more in depth about that because I find that really intriguing.
Yeah, and this is where I'll lean on some of the initial free write 15 data to
Mhm.
answer this question. When people journal, especially when they come to me and ask me like, "Wait, where do I start?" I always ask them. to first start obviously with the, writing down the routine, especially if like once the habit is set and you're sitting there and you're doing your journaling for a minute, 2 minutes a day, whatever it may be, and you want to do more, you're feeling more motivated, or I don't know, maybe the kids are asleep, no one's asking you to do things around the house. You just have like 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it may be to just do something and put your heart and soul into a journal entry. That's where I suggest to people, and I bring up the concept of free writing, just conscious stream of thought, no editorializing going on, no one coming in and censoring, telling you, that idea is stupid or what I just wrote is dumb. No, you just, whatever's on your mind, you just write it out and you just simply go. And it doesn't have to be coherent. It doesn't need to be compelling. It doesn't need to be profound. It's simply just getting your thoughts out on the page.
Mm.
And I notice people really like it because it's the easiest form of journaling. Like literally, if you can think it, you can write it. It just
Mhm.
it's like the easiest form of journaling whatsoever. It helps them flex those muscles, especially if they want to do more that day. But what I've noticed is, and I won't get into the numbers, there's a lot of people already using it, but at the end of a session in Free Write 15, you get a little prompt that says, "Hey, how are you feeling after that session?" And it's kind of based on the emotion wheel, and you have 7 base emotions. And then based on what emotion you choose there, you have more descriptive emotions. And I think it's like 71% of people today after a session. Now, granted, I don't ask them before the session, and that's something I wish I maybe I'll implement that later. But especially after the session, it's like, how do you feel after that session? 71% have a base emotion of happy.
Mm.
And of that 70-ish percent, it's like content or empowered or whatever it may be, a more descriptive form of saying what happiness means to you. So, but again, I can't compare that to how they're walking into a session. Anecdotally, I will talk to people about their journaling practice. We won't get into the specifics. I think it's a very intimate, very personal practice. I never ask people what they write about. If they want to share, they're more than welcome to. I never ask them what they've written about. But I do ask them, hey, how is it making you feel? Contemplative is a word that I hear a lot of times. Like after
Hmm.
someone's done journaling, they just kind of close their notebook or close their computer, do whatever. Just like kind of sit there and lay there for a second, just think about what they just wrote. And I asked them, when you do your tiny celebration at the end of journaling, is it because you celebrated, or is it because of what you got down on paper? And like it's a little bit of both, right? It's like I close my
Mm.
notebook, I give myself a mental high five, or I just do something that naturally makes me feel good. But I spend 5-10 minutes just kind of sitting there, like thinking about the things I got on the page and how I can either treat that person better in the future or react to that person differently in the future, or whatever it may be, whatever they wrote about. How do I take what I've written and maybe start to think about how I want to do things differently tomorrow or the next week or whatever it may be. So it leaves people rather contemplative, especially if they do free
Mm.
writing. But the vast majority of folks leave those sessions feeling great. They feel happy, whether it's, they feel empowered or they feel content, whatever it may be. That's at least what the data is showing me. So,
So interesting. In fact, I wanted to get a little deeper into Freewrite 15, and that's at
yeah. So,
freewrite15.com, correct? I did take a
correct.
look at it. And it's a website app. And I was really impressed with how simple and easy it looked. What led you to developing that website app, and what are
Yeah.
you hoping to accomplish with that? And I think you've touched on that a little bit, but let's dive deeper into the
Yeah.
actual app because I'm excited to go try it out.
Yeah, yeah. So FreeWrite 15 is a web-based journaling application designed specifically for people who want to journal, brand new to journaling, or they've tried journaling in the past and it's just kind of been something that's fallen off the wayside, right? It's something they did for a little while and like, oh, this is great. And they just went on vacation to Maui and came back and like, I'm all better now. I don't need to journal. So it is designed specifically for those people. And it's very easy. When I was creating it, I had all those clients in mind that came to me and said, I want to try journaling. And then, 2 or 3 weeks into working with them on that journaling habit, they, forgot to do it. It was getting too hard. They're overwhelmed with life, whatever it may be. So the concept is very simple. You log in and immediately you're greeted with a blank sheet of paper with a little blinking cursor and you write for 15 seconds. If you write
Mhm.
for 15 seconds, you're considered good. You can submit your entry or you can continue writing more if you'd like to. So it's all about the consistency of showing up. And even if you go to the website today, it denotes that very, very quickly. If you look at the frequently asked questions, like it's all about the showing up to do the act of
Mm.
journaling. How you do it, whether it's actually free writing or not, it doesn't matter. Showing up, writing for at least 15 seconds, hitting submit and calling it a day. And then life goes on, right? And you'll notice if you go in, you create an entry and you hit submit, there's actually there's a staging page before you get to like your insights. And the staging page is, hey, great job today. Here are some tiny celebrations that you could possibly try
Mm,
to get that feeling of shine. So it takes like 10, 15 seconds for it to process what you've written and give you some really interesting insights. But in between that time, it's okay, if you're not used to celebration, here is literally a card of some potential, tiny celebrations you could do right this second to lock in that feeling of shine. So making it incredibly easy to do. You log in, you write for 15 seconds, you celebrate, and then you get some really interesting insights, whether it's based on the context, whether it's based on what you've actually written, your mood, whatever it may be. And then there's a really cool little feature in there where if let's say you, Linda, you go in, you write a journal entry and you get like, a fun little badge or whatever. I can then go in and I can't see your name because it's all private, but I can see, oh, so and so got this badge. I give you like a little high five. So there's some social aspect to it too, but it's all about just like
nice.
helping you feel good. Do something very simple, do it for yourself, do it however you want, call it a day. And then if you want to give other people some moments of social shine, you want to encourage them as well, you're welcome to do that as well.
That's awesome. So are these entries archived that you can go back and search them or
Mhm.
pull them back up, or they just disappear once you've got them down?
Yeah, yeah. So there is an archive, so you can go in, and you'll see it on the website as well. The privacy is the number one tenet of the website. Like, yes, there is an archive, but you can lock the archive, kind of like if you remember, like the little lockets on
Hmm.
journals, back in the day with the key and whatnot. I mean, you can put a PIN password on that. So even if you're logged in, and let's say you have to go stand up and you get a cup of coffee, and someone comes over to your computer, they can't see your archive if you have that PIN set up. But yeah, you have an archive of all your past entries. So you can go in, you can actually download all the entries as well. There were some needs to allow people to own their own data. So you can download literally
Hmm.
all your information and you'll get a zip file of that. But yeah, all the entries are saved. The insights portion is drawn from your entries, but something I really want to note is there is no artificial intelligence that is used to analyze your work. If privacy is a key tenant and no one can see your entries, that also means the chat GPTs or the Claudes of the world or whatever it may be, they also can't see your entries, but you're welcome to download your entries. And if you choose
Mm.
to interact with those AI tools to get some more interesting depth insights, you are able to do that, but we don't do that on your behalf. You own your data, you own your entries, you own your archive, you own all that stuff. If you choose to share that with other folks or you choose to share that with other tools to kind of read between the lines for you, you're more than welcome to do that.
Wow. You have put so much thought and research into building this tool that sounds like it's very easily accessible if you have your phone with you, which we all do, right?
Yeah.
Or log onto the computer. What really helped you design this? What was your purpose was to help people create the habit of journaling. And
Mhm.
Dom, I know you're a very smart guy because I've known you for a number of years and know how you think and process. And you really truly have a higher level of thinking than many people do, than I do. I know you've been involved in BJ's behavior design world a lot, as well as
Mhm.
tiny habits. How has that impacted what you've designed? That's the first part of the question. And the second part of the question is, what do you really hope to achieve with Free Write 15? What's your
Yeah.
dream with it?
Yeah, let's start with the foundational question of like what is it that I'm trying to achieve? This was not Free Ride 15 was not born from like an idea that I had. It was listening to people, listening to clients about the
Mm,
things that they wanted to do and just kind of going into the details of like, oh yeah, like why isn't that working for you? And really just kind of using that algorithm of is it the prompt, is it ability, is it motivation? Working backwards to help people troubleshoot why this wasn't working for them. But I realized while doing that, A, I was helping that person, but that person was also helping me because it gave me a good opportunity to look at the problem space with a wider aperture. Like, okay, what are the actual problems your everyday person is having with this thing? But it came back to obviously the fog maxims, helping people
mm,
do the things they already want to do, helping them feel successful, not me congratulating them, but like helping them instill that sense of celebration in them, in themselves, helping them feel that success. Also, simplicity changes behavior. We all know that, right? As
mm.
tiny habits coaches and folks who are in the tiny habits world and have studied BJ's work and read the book, simplicity changes behavior. So by helping these folks, they were helping me get a better sense of the overall problem space. And it really, I won't say it was easy because it definitely like building the app was not incredibly intuitive or easy, but understanding like the North Star of making those types of decisions when it came to designing for very specific behaviors. Is this a one time behavior? Is this something that people should do from now on? If so, how does the fog behavior model, like what aspects of the fog behavior model do we need to focus on in this particular instance? It all came back to those maxims.
Mm.
By adding something like the high five feature, am I helping people do something they already want to do? Well, some folks were like, I wish I was in like a journaling group. And every time I finish a journal entry or someone just finished a journal entry, we just text each other and said, done for the day. And we all kind of gave them, like high fives or hearts or thumbs up or whatever in a text field. I'm like, you want some sense of like social proof here of like or some social connection here. Okay. So I'm helping people do something they want to do, making it very easy for them to congratulate other people, making it very easy for people to submit their journal entries. Each step of the flow, focusing on a very specific behavior, hitting the fog maxims. Am I actually helping people do the things they want to do? And am I helping them feel that sense of success? And am I making it as simple as possible for them to do? There's probably like 8 or 9 different very targeted behavior types in the app, and all of them flowed through those fog maxims before I even thought about what to implement.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, I can't wait till we wrap up here. Not because I'm not
Yeah,
enjoying talking to you. I am, because I am right away going to go log into the Free Write 15 app, and I'm just going to start using it. This is just so exciting because,
cool.
of course, journaling is something that we all know that there's multiple benefits to doing that. But I think you
Yes.
really basically solved the equation, or the question of, well, how do I do it? When do I do it? How do I start? You've made it, like you said, very, very simple. So back to the transformation that you're hoping to see in people by
Yeah.
journaling, whether they use the Free Write app or just start the habit of journaling or continue the habit of journaling. What transformation are you currently seeing in your clients, and do you hope to see in future clients?
Good question. Yeah. So transformations I'm seeing, I'll give a specific example without giving away the person. Over the last, I would say the last 3 months, I've been working with someone who they actually started off journaling and then they stopped journaling and then they brought it back because it was something they wanted to do and like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then they brought it back into their practice. I've noticed when we kick off our sessions, right? It's like, oh, how's your day going? Good. Tell me what, catch me up. What happened since we last talked? And I'm noticing more and more in this very specific, and this is, I'm using them as a persona. I've seen
Mhm.
this in other folks as well. Things like, I'm actually like I'm very in tune with my meals. Like I'm chewing slower. I'm enjoying my food. I'm savoring the flavors. I'm being more patient with my children. I'm being more patient with my husband or my wife. In this very specific instance, this person was being more open to the idea that their ideas weren't the end all be all at work, and that they were
Mm.
being more collaborative. And they were, as they said, they told me that I've noticed myself lowering my shield at work. I'm like, wow, all from journaling? And it's like, well, no, journaling is an aspect of it, but without the journaling, I wouldn't know like how much I actually think about work. And it's crazy. I get these ideas out on paper about my colleagues, and my colleagues are one way in my head, but when I write it out, I'm like, well, am I being too harsh on them? Am I not giving them grace? Whatever it may be. And externalizing those thoughts gives them an external perspective as to, am I treating this situation the way with some objectivity or whatever it may be. So lowering my shield a little bit more. So that's a transformation. And again, I've seen other
Hmm.
transformations in folks who integrated journaling as well. But I don't know. I think at the end of the day, journaling is something that if you do consistently, you're going to have varying degrees of insights that you gain from it. You may tap the well and get a ton of insights in one entry. And then a week later, after 4 or 5 entries, you're just like, I got nothing. And that's okay. But what's easier is your ability to just go back to the notebook, go back to whatever form that you choose and just get right back at it. And that idea of staring at a blank page, you overcome that fear very quickly. Because you don't have to write anything profound. You're not writing for an audience. I do know actually one other gal. She's awesome. But she uses journaling or free writing specifically to help her create blog posts. So, like, she doesn't
Mm.
actually use free writing to create the blog post, but it helps her kind of get her thoughts out on the piece of paper. She stares at it and she's like, "Oh, there's some nuggets in here that I think there's some nuggets of wisdom that I didn't even know I had." And then she kind of puts this together and comes up with really compelling blog posts as well. So, whether it's professional, whether
Mm.
it's personal, I think there's just a lot of benefit to it. And there's no right way to do it. That's the most important part for me. It's just
Mm.
writing. And if not just writing, just think and just write it out. That's fine too.
Yeah. Well, and as you're sharing that, what popped into mind for me, and as you know, we encourage our coaches to keep a story file, simply because people learn best through stories and other people's experiences. Wow, Free Write 15 would be an amazing tool to use to keep a story file.
Absolutely,
I'm
absolutely. And I do tell people my goal for 'cause I think you asked about this, like the goal of Free Write 15. My goal is to make Free Write 15 something that you move beyond eventually, or something that you
mm,
integrate in other practices. It's not meant to be the end all be all. This is where you come to journal every single day. If you get into the habit of journaling and you realize digital is just not doing it for me anymore. I want to move off and do something else. Like that's cool too. It's all about just helping you build that muscle memory, build that habit. And then
yeah.
if it doesn't serve you anymore and it's time to move on, hey, at least you got that new habit. That's great.
Well, Dom, this has been very enlightening for me and very encouraging to me because I am one that knows the benefits of journal writing, but I'm a stop, start type of a person simply because I don't think I had the right tool at my fingertips. And now I think I probably do. As we wrap up, what would be one word of wisdom, insight, or encouragement that you would like to leave our listeners with today?
Yes. I will say, and maybe I'm sure you see this in your practice. I'm sure this resonates with a lot of tiny habits coaches, but when it comes to celebration, like creating a tiny habits recipe for folks, there's a lot of momentum and people get really excited about it until they get to the part about celebration. It's
Mm,
like, well, giving myself a mental high five or pumping my arms in the air. Like they're not natural celebrators, but I think that's not true. There's definitely something in everyone that makes them feel good, even if they haven't felt it in a while. Like going back into a past memory, like, okay, when this happened to you, how did you react? I reacted this way. Like that's your celebration right there. So I
yeah.
feel like a lot of people get hung up on celebration because it just doesn't feel natural to them. And that's just because not because it doesn't feel natural to them, they just don't remember what that natural celebration is for themselves. So going back into a time in your life where you had a great success and how you treated yourself after that, so long as you can get in touch with that, whether you find that through journaling or some other means, whatever, it doesn't matter. Hold on to that because that's going to be the
Mm,
key to driving a lot of the stuff and the success of a lot of your habits moving forward.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you, Dom. And I'm going to encourage everybody
Yeah.
that's listening, go to freewrite15.com. Take a look at that app, see if it's a good fit for you or if you want to play with it a little bit. I think it's a
Yeah.
really exciting development that you've put together.
Yeah, 7-day free trial, no credit card, no nothing needed up front. And then at the end of 7 days, if it's something you really like, get what you want. There's no set price on it. You can kind of go in and whatever you feel like it's worth to you, you can kind of set that as your price point and there's no tiering of features. You get these whether you spend $3, $5, 6, 20, it doesn't matter. You get the same set of features. So it's pay what you want, 7-day free trial. And then like I said, you don't even have to put in a credit card. You just kind of log in, get going, and see if it's right for you.
I love that. I love that. That makes it so accessible to so many people. Well, Dom, thank you for your work. Thank you for the impact
Yeah.
that you have on so many lives. And I'm really excited to see your journaling app take off and also how it changes people's lives, especially improving their health. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lynn, and thanks for providing the platform to talk about all this great stuff. Yeah, you're doing great work. I really appreciate everything that you're doing, not only for
Thank
me,
you.
but for the whole community. I know there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that you have to put a lot of legwork into to set us up for success. So it doesn't go unnoticed. So thanks for everything.
Thanks, Dom. Well, we have a great community. We attract the most amazing people, and I would not be able to do it by myself, nor could BJ. So it really does. Old cliche, it takes a village, but it really
Yes, it
does to
does.
move this change forward. So,
Here, here. Cheers to that.
all right. All right.
Cool. All
Thank you.
right. Bye, Linda. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.